Good morning and welcome to another episode of the Solar Planet. Welcome to the show, everybody.
Good morning and welcome to another episode.
Oh, hey, someone's got to turn off their speaker. We got feedback going in here.
Welcome to the show, everybody. Good morning and welcome to another episode.
Oh, we got some feedback going on. I think that's Jim Rose. I think you're gonna have to turn off your speaker.
Oh, my speakers?
Oh, we got some feedback going on. I think that's Jim Rose. I think you're gonna have to turn off your speaker.
Yeah, sorry about that, buddy.
Oh, we got some feedback. Jim Rose, I think you're gonna have to turn off your speaker.
I'm gonna have to mute you, man.
Okay, so that's not the speaker.
Yeah, sorry, buddy. All right. Hey, welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I appreciate your time this morning, making time for us on the morning of 9/11. Let's treat this show as a bit of a distraction, and we'll get ourselves going here. I have two guests this morning. I've got Jake Bronger, Coach Fallen founder. Welcome back to the show, Jake.
Hey, the tower of power, too sweet to be sour. I'm funky like a monkey. Sky's the limit and space is the place.
Oh, wow. Here we go. That's a heck of an intro. You guys know him as Coach Fallen founder in the chat. Jake is proof that the Suns Nation goes beyond the valley, as the Iowa native has been a diehard fan since Charles Barkley joined the team. Yeah, nothing like a front runner, right, Jake?
Well, I mean, when you're 6, you hear.
Yeah, when you're
Charles
6.
Barkley,
All right,
that's
all right.
cool.
I'll give you that one. Jake is a former stand-up comedian who was told to sit down.
Found my right place.
My other guest today is this guy has a career in his back pocket. His name is Jim Rose. He is a circus performer and actor and author of 2 best-selling books. Had a weekly TV show on the Travel Channel called the Jim Rose Twisted Tour, for those of you who might remember that. Loves music, the Suns, and a minimal carbon footprint like we all should. Jim's been around longer than I have, that's for sure, dating all the way back to the inaugural 1968 season. Man, I only came to the Valley in the early 80s, Jim, so you got me beat by a lot. I do have a question for you. Since you were a circus performer and you love the Suns since 68, were you in fact the original gorilla?
I do have a question for you. Since you were a circus performer.
No.
And you love the Suns since 68.
I was not the original gorilla.
The original gorilla.
I remember the original gorilla, though.
No.
He came out back when Al McCoy was saying, good, like A1 beer after a jump shot.
I remember the original gorilla.
Yeah, sorry, Jim.
The gorilla.
You got to get some kind of headphones in, buddy. I'm really sorry about
Gorilla
that.
is more.
Damn it. Sorry about that, everybody. Jim's got the feedback going on. All right, we are going to, man, this is a great start. Maybe we should restart the show here pretty soon.
This is an episode dedicated to Espo out of the gate here, Dave.
Yeah, no kidding. Dang it. All right. Well, Jim, we'll bring you back as soon as you get to see if you have some headphones or something. But using the speaker, it brings feedback into it. And then we got repeat and all that. Can't have that. Okay, pregame warm-up. I want you guys to know that you are welcome to join in, make any comments you want to make throughout the show. I appreciate y'all. And if you hit that super chat button, if you hit that join, and if you want to show some love to us, we would appreciate that. First thing we're going to do is we are going to do latest Suns news. We're going to touch on, and Jake, you're the one who wanted, you suggested we talk about the incredible new addition for the Phoenix Suns in Chandler Hutchison. What do you think about the signing of Chandler Hutchison?
You said incredible, so I was immediately thinking you were talking about Thaddeus Young, and it was confirmed. I thought a Flex from Jersey announcement came out this morning, but no, Chandler Hutchison. He's a player. He's played. That's better than some of the two-way contracts that we've seen picked up by the Suns. But I guess where we were the last time I was on the pod. I guess I'm glad that the Suns are actually utilizing the two-way contract. I don't really know enough about Chandler to say whether he's going to do anything else besides setting screens on practices.
Well, let me tell you something interesting about Chandler Hutchison. This guy is actually getting a raise for signing a two-way contract. Did you know that, Jake?
I didn't know that was possible. I thought there was a max on the two-way.
Well, let me tell you how that raise goes. Let's see. We're going to bring Jim Rose back here, by the way, and see if we've got him set up a little bit better.
You got me, Dave.
Hey, Jim, how you doing?
I'm doing fine. It's just that I'm hearing. I can't do this, man. It's too much.
You having a tough time?
It's too delayed. I'm hearing it 3 times.
Oh, shoot. Dang it, Jim.
Huh?
Dang, I'm sorry to lose you then. Sorry about that.
The good news is that you've. Oh, wow. I just keep hearing it. Yeah, no problem. The good news is you've got Coach. Okay, guys. I'll see you later.
All right. Bye, buddy. Wow. Okay. Hey, that was a stumbly start. Poor Jim. He is over in France. I think there's a bit of a time delay there, certainly a few seconds. So we'll get him worked out and bring him back on at another time. Okay, so let's go back to Chandler Hutchison. The dude got a raise. Let me tell you how he got a raise. Chandler Hutchison actually, because he signed a two-way contract, that salary does not get offset against his NBA contract that he had previously already signed and is being paid by the San Antonio Spurs. So if you've got a desire to make a little bit more money, get yourself cut off of a guaranteed contract, then go sign with another team. And if your contract is small enough and or you sign a two-way deal, you actually get that two-way deal salary on top of the salary you're already getting. So Chandler Hutchison, he's on a two-way deal. He can appear in up to 50 games, which is more than Jalen Smith and Tyshawn Alexander appeared in last year together. And he and now he can get up to 50 games with the Suns this year. And he gets a raise. He gets to make a little bit more money. What do you think about that?
Well, I think we call that failing upwards in the biz, Dave. It's I think we've all seen enough people that's all of a sudden like, he got fired, right? But but we just hired him and we're going to pay him more than he was getting paid at his last job. That is the ultimate way to advance in this country. Congratulations to Chandler. But hey, the Suns, if this is a James Jones guy, if this if Coach likes him, like we saw with Abdel Nader, I mean, that was a guy that most Suns fans thought was a total throwaway add-in to the Suns, and all of a sudden he disappears for a couple of months on injury, comes back in the playoffs playing meaningful minutes. So not saying he's got that kind of potential, but all I know is our buds over on the other side of Brightside, fanning the flames, they love these two-way contract players.
They do.
Yeah,
they had a
secret crush on those guys.
Release of Tyshawn Alexander for sure. I know. So says Jay,
So
Dan Duarte,
yeah.
Paul. All those guys were just. They had a vigil. They were sad. They were definitely sad. But here's the thing, man. With Tyshawn Alexander, he is so good at. Well, no, he's good enough to sign overseas. He's going to play for, I believe it's Virtus Bologna, and he's going to get more seasoning. He'll end up back in the NBA if he's good enough to play in the NBA. In the meantime, the Suns get to basically use their two-way contract like a 16th or 17th roster spot. So this way, basically it's a longer roster in case there's COVID outbreaks and all that. The NBA changed that rule because obviously you only 5 can play at once. So why do you need 16 or 17 players? Well, it can help if you've got an outbreak. So this guy will be a break glass in case of emergency, just like Abdel Nader is, just like Elfrid Payton is. He's just another one in that group who actually knows and is familiar with the NBA game. So that's potentially a positive. Let's hope for that. Okay, so let's talk through the rest of the game plan for the day. we have a little bit of a new show format. We're going to go through 4 quarters, 4 topics, 4 quarters. Every quarter is going to be a topic in which we want you in the chat to help us get through, to walk through. I want you guys to vote. I want you guys to weigh in, and we'll be sharing your comments throughout the show for sure. So anyway, Jake.
Dave, well, I have a
question for you. Go ahead, jump in, please.
Well, I was going to say, be honest, Dave. The reason why I'm here and you're having some other guest hosts is because 4 quarters, you were a little bit worried about stamina from Espo. Would he be able to play the full 36 plus? I'm here. I'm here to play tough defense. On the Greek Freak if we have to go into overtime. So let's do this.
You're here, man. You're in it. You're in it to win it. All right, let's go into the first topic of the day. Were you obviously you're on Twitter? You've been around to Suns Twitter. Did you see the whole flame war going on between Nuggets fans and Suns fans this week at all?
I'll be honest. Not to give another well-deserved shout out to our Fanning the Flames pals, but I was brand new that the Nuggets were kind of like a rude fan base and that they got very upset with the Suns. I'm just used to waiting for some Lakers fan to come up and tell us how terrible we are, even though we knocked them out in the first round. So this caught me by surprise this week.
Yeah, it caught me a little bit by surprise too. I thought that was funny. There was one guy in particular. We're not going to give him the airtime. It's kind of like not putting the streakers on the air, in a football game or something like that. We're not going to give him that kind of airtime, but we are going to talk about him for a little while. Yeah, there's that guy too, right? But no, this dude on Twitter, he's a Denver fan, and he was saying basically the whole series was predicated on Jamal Murray being missing for Denver, and the Suns never would have beat Denver if they had Jamal Murray. I'm a big fan of Jamal Murray. I do believe he's a top 30 player in the NBA. And when you're missing a top 30 player in the NBA, you should be not as good a team. If the Suns were missing Devin Booker for the whole series, they would not have been as good a team. But the Suns, that was the one series in which the Suns were entirely healthy the entire time. So good on the Suns for being healthy in that series. But man, to say that one guy, Jamal Murray, would have turned it from a 4-game rout to a Nuggets series win is a little bit too far. I don't think there's any, Jamal Murray could make a difference for 2 or 3 wins, maybe 1 or 2 wins, maybe 1 win, whatever it was. But man, Chris Paul was healthy. Everybody being healthy. Yeah. So I don't see it. Do you see, how many games do you think Denver would have won if they had all their players?
A healthy Jamal Murray. I mean, the guy can play, absolutely. But the way DA was playing in these playoffs, the way Chris Paul, I mean, that was probably the healthiest series he had. I think it was the healthiest series he had. I'm saying it right now, Suns in 5. I think they win 1 more game. I think the Nuggets make it a competitive series. The games are a little closer, but I don't think it even goes to 6, Dave. I mean, Murray's a good player. He is a difference maker. But when your MVP can't help you win a game, I don't think a secondary star is going to make that big of a difference.
Yeah, I like how they were just glossing over the fact that the current league MVP was still playing in that game, and he couldn't make a difference on wins. So why would a top 30 player in the league suddenly turn it from no wins to 4 wins?
Well, and keep in mind that they got to the second round for a reason, right? They bounced out the Blazers, who have a tremendous backcourt. I mean, the Nuggets, they just, I don't know if they ran out of gas or what their problem was. I think they ran up against the Suns defense, to be honest. The Blazers had to go with trying to outscore them each time, and they weren't going to match up with the Joker. We had DA. He could actually hold his own, and that was the difference. I mean, Jamal, he makes it a more interesting series to watch, but it doesn't go past 6. It doesn't go to 7. I mean, we don't have to win in 8 or 9 like we thought we had to do against the Bucks. So, 1 game max. That's all I give them. One extra game.
All right, we are going to try one more time. Let's bring Jim Rose back to the show. How you doing, Jim? Is it any better? Oh, now we can't hear your voice. Shoot. Make sure. I'm sorry, Jim. We'll try this again, man. We'll do a practice show in between. Sorry about that, buddy. All right. Let's get back, man. We keep trying. That's such a shame. Okay, so that's our first quarter. Suns' biggest rival now. My question is are the Clippers, the Lakers, or the Nuggets the Suns' biggest rival?
Well, and first off, I want to point out Fabio in the chat. A healthy Jamal Murray wouldn't teach Michael Porter Jr. how to defend. 100%. That's they weren't going to all of a sudden learn how to lock in on Booker or any of our players. And I mean, that Chris Paul game. How many points did he score, Dave? I mean, you're the stat guy. He had what to finish him off. It was
41.
Yeah, an outstanding game that you don't see Chris Paul.
41 points for Chris Paul. Oh, by the way, yeah, we don't see him as a huge scorer, but he does happen to be the seventh greatest scorer among active players right now, actually, all time. Part of that's an 18-year career, I think, but yes, definitely. Or 16-year, excuse me. Let's see. So would you we've got a couple, we've got M users, Charles, Lebo, both saying the Lakers as the Suns' biggest rival right now. If you had to pinpoint, point out a rivalry, would it be the Lakers?
Absolutely. Yeah, you can't. I mean, the Lakers, even though I came on board during the Barkley era, there was something special about Shaquille O'Neal, Kobe Bryant, that every year the Suns were going to go get some foreign-born player to come in and play center and try and stop that 315-pound semi-truck in the paint. And you just loved to see what we'd throw at them next. It's got to be the Lakers is certainly the all-time rival for the Suns. But, I got to say, I know they're not doing so well right now, but Popovich, Spurs, and the Mavericks, too much during the 7 seconds or less era, those Texas teams, man, they found us in the playoffs, whether it was Dirk, whether it was Duncan. Oh, I'd love to see them lose.
Well, we're going to see them lose a lot this year. The Spurs are just not as strong as they have always been. Scott Lacey, thank you so much for giving us some love in the super chat. I really appreciate you, man. And that's a huge benefit. Thank you very much. Anybody else want to join in the super chat? You certainly can. Couple more comments here. Challenge and rival are different. I do think that's 100% true, Sunderous Dunks. And that is kind of the next thing I want to talk about a little bit is the Suns' toughest challenge might be the Lakers. But is that their biggest rival? And you're saying, Jake, that you think the Spurs are a rival, even though they're not very good this year. Do you think any playoff level teams this year are a bad blood kind of thing where the Suns are going to be extra focused?
Maybe it's just because I live in the Midwest, but there's something special about the Suns franchise, Suns Nation, the fans, that when I talk to fans from other teams, there's kind of like a soft spot for Phoenix. It's like, oh yeah, like I think Booker's overrated, but it's an impressive story that you guys have so far. Or like, I like Chris Paul, or, I wish DA the best. There's not like that, I'm so sick of the Lakers, or it's not like, oh, like you guys have Patrick Beverly on your team, you're dirty. Like there's just, you don't really find that. So there's, that's why I was so shocked to see it from like Nuggets fans. They're like, oh yeah, well, Suns are terrible. And it's like, really, we're kind of like America's team, if anything. So if there's a team to hate, it's that's why I think it's got to be the Lakers. All their titles, people get sick of watching a monopoly. And let's be honest, it's between them and the Celtics haven't been as relevant as recently. But near term, short term, I'd say, an outside shot, the Jazz, because how much Suns fans and Jazz fans put on the Mitchell versus Booker debate. That's got to be a bit of a rivalry right now. Last year we finished 1-2 in the West separated by what, one game, half game. So we both got big defensive centers that can, really control the paint, and strong scoring shooting guards. So I could see the Jazz as kind of being a short-term rivalry, and they were a rival in the 90s, during the Malone Stockton era as well.
Yeah, I think as far as bad blood is concerned, I don't know if there's yet any bad blood. What I'll be really curious about this season is whether we suddenly start seeing some bad blood from opponents. And I don't know if like suddenly we're going to see a lot more emotion from the teams the Suns beat in the playoffs than we were expecting to see. Do you think the Lakers or the Clippers or the Nuggets will come in with any extra motivation because of those playoff losses, or do you think they're just going to be, what happened?
Well, I think absolutely there's going to be. I mean, with Jay Crowder, selling his salsa, in the LA market, that's going to be a big deal. But will the Lakers get as upset about it? I don't know. Are they going to take their medicine, their geriatric pills, to be able to have the energy? I don't think so. I think they're going to sit there and be like, well, we can't get too excited and emotional because we don't want to be drained during this regular season game.
Well, they're going to have to, because otherwise they'll be on walkers by the playoffs. So that part's so true. The Suns do open up the season against the Nuggets. That'll be fun. And then they play the Warriors on Christmas Day. Do you think the Warriors are a challenge or a rival?
A challenge, definitely not a rival. Again, I think going back to when we tried to trade Amari for Steph Curry, years ago, there's a little bit of a connection there. The Warriors are a fun team. I mean, if you like watching basketball, if you like watching offense, it's hard to hate Curry. It's hard to Klay Thompson. I feel bad for the guy. I sprained an ankle, and I think my entire next couple of years are going to be different. This guy tears things, and he's like, I'll be back next year. I'll give it another shot.
Dude, I sprained an ankle 2 years ago doing one of those Tough Mudder things.
Mm-hmm.
And man, that ankle sprain lasted 6 months. I couldn't push off running, on the treadmill or anything like that, like I usually do, for 6 months. So Klay coming back from the Achilles and the ACL, I don't know, but I'm rooting for him. Everybody should be able to get back to healthy. That's for sure.
Go
ahead.
I just want to shout out, thanks Lakers fan 24 for watching the show. We understand that you hate us because you ain't us, and you really wish you were in the title game, the finals. But that first round goodbye, I'm sure LeBron got some great rest.
That's right. All right, man. That's it for this segment. What I want to do now is I want to remind everybody that we do have an audio podcast feed. I post midweek pods during the week that are interviews with national media heads and people from other markets, media from other markets that you ought to take in and listen to. So you need to subscribe to that. I'm gonna play a little commercial right now for that. For those watching this episode on YouTube, I've got some news for you. You're only getting half the story. The Solar Panel Podcast delivers you an additional special episode every Wednesday with a national personality from places like The Ringer, The Athletic, Bleacher Report, Sports Illustrated, ESPN, NBA.com, and everyone else. You'll hear what the non-locals think about the Suns and the NBA in general. It's a new feed, though. You've got to click some buttons. Forget the old one. Get the new one. Go to your favorite pod app, search for Solar Panel Podcast with the orange logo. While you're there, subscribe, rate, and review. And if you leave me a 5-star review, I'll give you props on the air. Yeah, I got to tell you, Jake, this week, another Suns pod went with the orange background. So you guys are going to have to be discerning when you get in there and go to those backgrounds. It's the one that says Solar Panel on it, because this is the Solar Panel Podcast. I can't help it when people try to copy greatness.
It happens.
Yeah. All right. So our next quarter, yep, someone listening to Fan the Flames, Coach. Exactly. We're all listening to Fan the Flames, so says Jay. We definitely are. Everybody does. All right. Now, our second quarter topic is a topic that Jake, you suggested for the show. and I want to give you a chance to kick this one off. You were suggesting maybe there might be a starting lineup change during the year. Go for it.
Well, so I keep, we've all heard the rumors, right, that Thad Young, that the Suns are heavily pursuing him, and if you buy the hype, if you watch for Flex from Jersey to see that what the next tweet's going to be on when we're going to pick him up, you'd think he's already here, and I'm all on board on Thad Young coming to the Suns. What I'm surprised to see is how so many Suns fans saying that Jay Crowder is terrific and Thad Young's going to be a great backup to him. I'm calling it now. If Thad Young comes to Phoenix, Jay Crowder is going to be coming off the bench. We need that little extra size, a little bit more defense. Jay is a great defender, but we need a little extra size and rebounding, I think, down near the paint. And that's where Thad Young's really going to, I see a lot of fans saying, oh, he's going to play the Torrey Craig role. I think he's going to play a much bigger role. And I would put him in the starting lineup and Jay coming off the bench to bomb some threes away. So that's my prediction. It would be a Chris Paul, Devin Booker, Mikal Bridges, Thad Young, or there's an outside shot. It could be a different starting power forward. But I don't think Jay Crowder is starting for the playoff Suns.
Wow. So there's the hot take. By the time the playoff come around, we're going to have Jay Crowder either coming off the bench or possibly traded to another team, I guess, if there's salary matching involved and all that. My trouble with a Thad Young acquisition is I just don't see where he's going to get the minutes. I just don't see it. Unless a Jay Crowder or a Cam Johnson or a Mikal Bridges get traded in the deal, I don't see where he gets enough minutes to play. Although I do find it interesting that he only played 24 minutes a game for the Bulls last year. So is he a guy who likes the short minutes? I'm not really sure, but he would definitely get short minutes in Phoenix. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, do you analyzing the two players, who would you rather have at power forward, though, Dave? Thad Young or Jay Crowder?
It's interesting because Thad Young doesn't take any long shots, and the Suns' offense is predicated on creating spacing. So I looked at some highlights. Gerald Bourguet over at the new PHNX media, whatever that is. I'm sorry, but PHNX, go search for that. Gerald did a breakdown on Thad Young on there, and he basically showed us that Thad's offense is basically being a connector, which Monty does like in terms of passing. You pass from the outside to the mid post, from the mid post to whatever shooter or slasher is open, Thad's going to find them. That's a new role he actually discovered this past year. He doubled his career assist average up to over 4 a game last year for the Bulls on only short minutes. So he's that, but he can't shoot, and the Suns' offense is predicated on shooting. So Jay Crowder does not rebound very well, and he doesn't do a whole lot very well, but he does keep the lineup spaced for Chris Paul and Devin Booker to get in there and make their noise in the mid-range. And if Thad Young is already standing in that area along with DeAndre Ayton, I think that is going to be a spacing issue.
Well, then let's entertain the 10 pounds of muscle off-season theory. If Cam Johnson adds the 10 pounds to his frame and those hips can handle it, because we all know apparently the biggest drafting research was that he's got bad hips. But now that he's got restored hips, add 10 pounds to that man's frame, and is he your new starting power forward going in? Because he's got a little bit more height. He doesn't have the bulk that Jay's going to have, even if you add 10 pounds probably. But we saw Cam not just taking threes, but when he was driving and dunking, ooh, that was special.
Yeah, no, exactly. I think it's Cam Johnson is the guy that I thought when you threw out the idea of the hot take that Jay Crowder wouldn't be starting by the second half of the year, my first thought was, Cam Johnson beat him out for a starting job. I do think Cam Johnson has a bigger future. I don't know if it's starting material yet, but he definitely has surprising hops. He's good at positional defense, and he can shoot the lights out. He doesn't rebound that well, and but is that going to hold him back? I don't know, because DeAndre Ayton inhales all the rebounds. So it is interesting. I'm not really sure if Cam Johnson is a future full-time starter in the league, but I do think he's a 15-year player that's going to end up being like a James Jones, in that he spends the last half of his year just going to the finals every year. And let's hope that's with the Suns.
Collecting rings and shooting threes.
Yeah, man, that James Jones, let's not let every year that goes by, we forget more and more, but James Jones made 7 straight finals to end his career.
Jeez. And I see in
every
the chat
one of those with LeBron. I mean, and James was playing 5 minutes a game, but still he made 7 straight finals to end his career.
He was the Udonis Haslem of LeBron's
much more
roster.
successful version of Udonis Haslem.
But this is why I wish Jim Rose was on the show today. I heard that Cam had a plastic hip put in and gave the bone to his dog. Jim, I want your microphone to start working.
I know, man. Jim, I'm really sorry your microphone didn't work out. We will get on a practice run and get this worked out. It's just something about the feed between the headphones and the mic and all that. So don't worry about it, man. Okay. So do you have anything else to say about what you think is going to happen with the Suns lineup? Do you see Cam Johnson being a starter, in which, so much so that the Suns really don't need to acquire Thad Young?
Well, the only other idea I have right now, besides Thad Young coming in and grabbing a starting spot at the 4, would be between Mikal Bridges maybe signing a big contract. DA will be getting a big contract. Jay Crowder's got a nice size one contract as well. And of course, Cam, we've seen how talented he is that James Jones has shown with the Chris Paul acquisition that this team is in win now mode, and they will take some risks if they think that it will give them the shot at the title. I'm not wanting it to happen at all, but I could see a Mikal Bridges type get a big contract, and then we package him at the trade deadline for that quote unquote missing piece.
Whoa. What?
I mean,
Coach is advocating for trading Mikal Bridges?
False. False statement.
Wow.
So basically what you're
Sign
saying
him
is you
to a
don't even like
tradable
Mikal.
Contract. Yeah. Trading Mikal Bridges. You heard it here. Coach Fallen Founder wants Mikal Bridges out.
It's true. And if we can get Aaron Gordon in that trade, no.
Oh, Aaron Gordon.
I'm just saying Ben Simmons in the Valley. No. You have
Coach
to.
Bomb.
We're so used to over the last 10 years. This last year we were spoiled, but for the last 10 years, Suns fans have been like, I'm telling you, we just got Dragon Bender's just got to get a couple more years under him, and then he's going to be a top 5 player. It's gonna happen. Marquise Chris, it's gonna happen. We are going to have to be able to let go of some of these players that just gave us a special year. And if James sees that opportunity, he's gonna.
I think I don't know. I definitely see that Devin Booker, DeAndre Ayton, specifically Devin Booker, DeAndre Ayton, and Mikal Bridges are 3 guys that can be the backbone of a repeat contender every year. Will they make the finals every year? Heck no. But can they be a threat, a strong threat for the finals every year? That threesome? Yes. Are they going to need other players around them that are really good? Of course. And so, Chris Paul obviously being the guy who's carrying them to the finals this past year. Are they going to need somebody else like a Chris Paul? Maybe not. Maybe DeAndre Ayton, Mikal Bridges, and Devin Booker all improve to the point they don't need an all-NBA person with them to get them into the finals. But it's certainly that is a group that can be a repeat to the finals team. And then I'm really curious a year from now when Cam Johnson is eligible for an extension, is his going to be in that 18 to 20 million a year range? I had always thought if he stays in the 15 or under range a year, they could definitely afford to keep him around. That's going to, but I do think Mikal and Ayton and Devin Booker, as long as they stay happy and nobody develops a disease of me, that is a great 3-person core that I don't think needs to be traded regardless of what their salaries are, because the salary cap is high enough and it's going to go up again in a couple of years when there's a new TV deal to be able to afford these 3 guys plus put a team around them.
Well, let me ask you something, Dave, because I remember I got asked on the panel, I think a couple of years ago, if I remember it right. And so I'll be interested to see what the fans say in the chat now that we have had a team in the finals. If I could give you one finals victory on one hand, or the other hand.
Well, we got 2 this year. Do you mean a title?
No, I mean, if I could give you one title.
Okay.
Or on the other hand, I could give you a chance to get to a chance to win the title for the next 5 years. Guaranteed title or a chance to be competitive each year for the next 5 years. What do you take? The guarantee, one title, or the compete for 5?
So do I want to be the 2001 Diamondbacks or do I want to be the well, let's see. What's a team that's gone to the finals or semifinals, conference finals every year for several years? I mean, I definitely don't want to be Portland, but they haven't gone as far as the Suns did in 1 year. So who are we talking about here? Are we talking about Miami? Miami's only made 1 finals, but hasn't made a conference finals, I don't think, another time. Boston Celtics. Do you want to be the Boston Celtics? They haven't made the finals, but they've made conference finals a couple of times with their young core. Would I rather be them, or would I rather be the 2011 Dallas Mavericks, or would I rather be the 2001 Arizona Diamondbacks? That's interesting. I'd rather have a long-term stretch of success right now. However, my selfish person would say, give me both. Give me a long-term run of success and have one of those be a breakthrough title.
Yeah.
Oh, here's another. Okay. Would you rather be, let's say that. Would you rather the Suns team be the 7 seconds or less Suns, or the 2011 Dallas Mavericks that only made the 1 finals in a 9-year period or something like that?
That's not fair. I hate the Mavericks. But I don't know. You know what it is for me? I'd rather just book it. I'd rather just get that 1 title out of the way, and then we can focus on being competitive from there on out.
Exactly. Let's just get the 1 title. All right.
Rather than just like, well, we're going to make the playoffs again 10 years in a row. Maybe this time the guys practice more in the off season.
Yeah, exactly. No, I think this finals appearance is definitely a legitimizer for the team. And going forward, that's going to give them the confidence to stay in this run for years. And it's also going to give the ownership and management front office confidence in this core, not to be shaking it up. All right, so that's it for this section of the show. We are now at halftime. And guess what? Everybody, you are so lucky that you get to now take a break. Jake, you can have some coffee or whatever it is. You are so lucky you get to watch the Manscaped ad. Now, don't go anywhere. This is only 90 seconds. I swear to God, it's only 90 seconds. Take a little break. Go do a potty break, something like that. Look, Jake is all very excited to watch this. Attention listeners from across the galaxy, all the way from Australia to Houston. Do we have a pube problem? If so, our friends at Manscaped have cleared you for takeoff with their 4th generation and brand new Lawnmower 4.0. Kick your pubes to the next planet with Performance Package 4.0. The orbits in your pants will feel like you're in zero gravity when you use the best tools for the job from the leaders in male grooming. Join the 2 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped and get your rocket ready for takeoff by going to manscaped.com for 20% off plus free shipping with the code FlamingBallers. That's special for you guys, our solar panel listeners. The code is FlamingBallers for 20% off plus free shipping. Inside this package, you'll find their Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, the Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer, the Crop Preserver ball deodorant, Crop Reviver toner, Performance Boxer briefs, and a travel bag to hold your entire solar system. Get 20% off plus free shipping with the code FLAMINGBALLERS at manscaped.com. That's 20% off plus free shipping with the code FLAMINGBALLERS at manscaped.com. Your dick and balls need some help. For a clean trinity and beyond, your space balls will thank you. Hey, man, look, as funny as the whole concept is, manscaping is incredibly important in our lives. And anyone who's got anyone who's going to look at them without their clothes on needs to be manscaped so that you can actually see the skin behind all the. I mean, I've got Italian in my blood, and I swear to God, I need this as much as anybody else. How about you, Jake? Have you ever manscaped in your life?
You know, I can admit that they do have some very good products. The ball conditioner makes it so, you know,
You're trying.
No, I tweeted this last week because Dave, it gave me kind of flashbacks to anyone that grew up with Clippy, the Microsoft paperclip, that when you'd start writing something on Microsoft Word, it'd pop up and say, I see you're trying to write something. Would you like some help? And that caricature of you, I'm afraid that next time I go to shave, you're going to pop up in my mirror like that and say, I see you're trying to manscape. Would you like some help?
So now I'm the new Clippy. And you know what? Clippy is a great nickname for a Manscaped little thing that shows up, a little avatar. Little Clippy. All right. I like that. Okay, let's move on to the third quarter of our show. The third quarter of our show is we are dedicating this to our members, the Flaming Ballers. Anybody that's got the little logo next to their name means that they have become members of this channel. A membership is really not that expensive. You can go as little as $1.99 a month. If you want to contribute to the show, you get to do a lot of things to contribute to the show. The first thing that we are going to start doing for our members is we're going to let you contribute to an entire topic every week. It's called Baller Talk. All right. That is what we're going to go to right now, to Baller Talk. I got a couple of pieces of contributions here. The first one is from Coda Kid. And what Coda Kid wants us to do, so you get to set this topic here. What Coda Kid wants us to do, Jake, is he wants us to talk about how Cam Johnson can win Sixth Man of the Year. Do you think Cam Johnson can win Sixth Man of the Year this year?
There's an outside shot. Absolutely. I think he can. You know, if he gets a little bit more comfortable, we've seen him be streaky with his threes, but if he can get a little bit more comfortable, maybe if he can manscape a little, it's going to help him out, you know, reduce the wind draft ratio. I don't know. I'm not a scientist, but the man can ball. And that we were all worried that we were going to get this kind of wooden 3-point shooter and there wasn't going to be much else to his game, but he has demonstrated, I think, that he can take it to the next level. I'm very excited about the potential growth that I see from him. I could see him easily getting more minutes than Jay, even though Jay will initially start, but Cam could be the guy that comes in and finishes games. I think his defense has improved. I know his numbers have improved, and I'm sure you've got something to back that up much stronger than I would.
You know what? I didn't even have a chance to grab anything like stats or anything like that on Cam. What I'll just say is he doesn't actually have the game that wins Sixth Man of the Year. Sorry, Coda Kid. I think he could be one of the most valuable bench players in the league, but he doesn't have the game the type of game that wins that award. The type of game that wins that award is a high score. Yeah. Leandro Barbosa won Sixth Man of the Year way back in the 7 seconds or less days because he averaged 18 points a game off the bench. Lou Williams and Jamal Crawford have won Sixth Man of the Year awards for the same reason. And it seems like 18 is a magic number because nobody off the bench averages 20 plus. And it's really hard to get all those points in those bench minutes. And so 18 seems like the magic range. I don't see Cam Johnson getting to 18 points a game. So while we are going to see him as our potentially most valuable bench player, and among all the bench players in the league, he might be one of the best. But as far as winning the award or even being in the final talk for the award among media, I'm not really sure that I see that happening.
I see Campaign having more of a shot. I'd still say it's very much an outside shot, but I'd say Campaign, we've seen him turn into that microwave and I think we'll see it more this season when they tell Chris Paul, hey, we're going to shave a few minutes off you each game to keep you fresh for the playoffs. And Campaign, go to work and change the speed up, and we're going to start to see him just blaze past some fools.
Yeah, so Campaign's going to be an interesting one this year. So Coda, we might look back on this and say you got it right if it's a Cam that wins Sixth Man of the Year. We'll give you credit for that. All right, so let's see. Now the next thing Coda Kid asked for was to talk about if Mikal can take another huge jump this season. And what kind of jump would that look like?
I want to see Mikal, his offensive game grow. I think he got a little too comfortable with his 3-and-D role in the playoffs. But I think he could be the next, he can turn into an offensive facilitator or an offensive creator. I want to see him put the ball on the ground. We saw him a little bit. He would kind of take off from the corner, drive in, and then hit a little mid-range kind of flip shot, jump shot. I want to see that expand a little bit. I think he's got to do that more to become more of a threat. We don't want him to settle too much into the Jay Crowder role of I'll just stand here and wait for my shot.
Yeah, my worry about Mikal is that he doesn't seem to have the mentality to take over a game. So what's really interesting to me, and this is not a hot take because I've said this several times over the last couple of years, is DeAndre Ayton and Mikal Bridges' mentality is more similar than people want to give credit to. And that mentality being, let me do all the other things on the court so that the stars can do well, right? Ayton never complained once about getting 30% fewer shots this year. He went from 15 shots a game to 10 shots a game. Even in the playoffs, when he was setting records and blowing up all over the place in the playoffs, he still wasn't taking that many more shots. He was just making 80% of them, and that's why his numbers looked a little bit better. He was 16-12 in the playoffs instead of 14-11 or 14-12 almost in the regular season. So I think Mikal, what his problem is, he doesn't see himself as an offensive go-to guy, and I'm not sure that he ever will or wants to be. And that's okay because you got Devin Booker who wants to score a ton of points. You got Chris Paul who wants to dribble the hell out of the ball and score when he needs to. And Chris Paul, while he is a ball pounder, I think obviously Hall of Fame level ball pounder. So I'm good with that. You've got Jay Crowder willing to take every shot. Every time he touches the ball, he's going to shoot. So Mikal just wants to be that connector. He wants to be that guy, but he did admit in an interview last year that he had to check himself a couple of times, even in the playoffs, where he wasn't doing anything until he made his first 3-point shot. Like he was just mentally just sitting in the corner. He didn't slash to the rim. He didn't cut. He didn't back cut, anything like that. He just stood in the corner waiting to get his first 3-point shot in before he started getting aggressive. And he knew that was the wrong way to go. Either you get your first 3-point shot right away, or you start slashing, you start cutting, you start doing whatever it takes to help move the offense along, and then wait and let your 3-point shots come when they come. So he might get more aggressive like that. He scored almost 15 points a game this year. He might actually get, will he get up to 17, 18 points a game? Potentially. But I'm not sure if he ever needs to. I think if he gets 16, 17 points a game, I think we'll be thrilled. I'd like to see him rebound a little bit more. I'd like to see him pass a little bit more. But I just want him to be all defense is my big thing.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, lockdown defender, that's where I see him most comfortable, and I think that's where he excels. But as you pointed out, his ability to slash, he's probably the top slasher because Booker doesn't slash very much. He needs the ball in his hands. He wants to do, come off screens. But Mikal, simply by slashing, even if he doesn't get the pass, he's going to force the defense to get pulled in again. just like when Ayton posts up. So he's going to have that ability to impact the game more offensively, even if he's not actually the one taking the shots in the end.
Absolutely. So that was a great question. Again, this is the section we call Baller Talk. And what that is the folks that are members, the folks that are signed up, and you see the flaming ball next to their name in the chat. Those folks get to weigh in and help us form a topic in the third quarter of every one of our episodes now. If you want to become a flaming baller, definitely all you got to do is hit that join button. Smash that join button right after you hit the subscribe, right after you hit the thumbs up. If you're still watching this show, you should be giving it a thumbs up or you would have left by now. So give me a thumbs up. Give us a subscribe, hit those notifications so you don't miss the next show, and definitely sign up, hit that join button. We're also going to be letting people, if you sign up to enough, you look at the different levels you can sign up to. We'll even let you participate in the show. I'll let you actually set an entire show outline one time if you sign up for enough, and I'll even let you co-host. We just got to make sure you don't have any feedback going on. But definitely, for sure, you've got to hit that join button to be able to do all of this. Okay, I've got a hot takes. I'm also giving our ballers a chance to have hot takes. This one comes from Blaze Megatron.
Just Blaze
Megatron. He is in the chat this morning. Blaze, here we go. Your take is, by the All-Star break, Devin Booker will be the clear number one on the Suns, and he will make the All-Star team, and CP3 will not. What do you think about that, Jake?
I'm gonna ask the fans in the stands on this one. Hot take. I'm gonna go lukewarm take. I think no offense, Blaze, but I think Booker will claim this as his team. I think it was his team all along. I think the
to be fair, he did say it was a lukewarm take when he gave it to me.
Okay. So you put it in the microwave. You heated it up for the show. I love it.
I did heat it up. Yeah. That's right.
Reheated pizza. I love it. No, I think totally. What we saw with Chris Paul, he can still play at that great all-star level, but we've got to – he wants to play every game. So we got to put a lid on him a little bit, keep the legs fresh. So I think, the campaign, we saw him take a great step. He can lead the second unit. I'd rather not ever see Elfrid Payton again, but he's there, when we want to get 10 minutes out of a game, and Chris is, going to maybe take a day off. I don't know. But I think Booker is going to be much more used to playing with Paul this season, and he's going to take that next step. And I think he's kind of upset with the greater basketball fandom, thinking that he's doesn't deserve to be in the All-Star games still. And I saw that was a hot take on Twitter that he really hasn't earned his way there yet. And leading a team to the title should help dispel some of those rumors. I think he takes the next step this year.
So your hot take, Jake, is that he actually gets voted in traditionally to the All-Star game this year instead of being picked as a replacement by the commissioner.
Yeah, a sizzling take. I don't think it's super hot either, but
it's a little bit. Yeah, we just turned the burner on the stove. Even the pan's not quite hot. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I don't think the fans vote him into the starting lineup, but I think the coaches take him in.
You think the coaches do? Yeah, the coaches are tough, man. I asked around a little bit about why the coaches aren't voting Devin Booker into the All-Star game, because people felt like he should have been the last couple of years. And just to help people remember, Devin Booker, the fans get, and a combination of the fans, players, and media get to pick the starting lineups for the All-Star game. The fans get 50% of the vote, and coaches and media get 25% each. Players and media get 25% each. And then the rest of the team, that's the starting lineup, 5 out of 12 players on each side. The rest of the team, or 14 more players, are picked by coaches. The West coaches pick the West backups. East coaches pick the East backups. And so that's 14 non-Monty Williams coaches who could be voting Devin Booker into the All-Star game and have declined to do so the last couple of years. So I've asked around a little bit, and basically the coaches have fallen prey to I haven't had to face this guy in the playoffs. That's basically the big thing. If you look at who the coaches pick, It's guys they've had to game plan against in the playoffs, not necessarily in the regular season. They don't care as much about that. Sure, Devin Booker has been the only one you had to game plan against last few years in Phoenix, but that was regular season. They didn't mean as much. So now that Booker's been a guy you have to game plan against in the playoffs, and the dude, one of the only guys in league history to score 40 plus in back-to-back finals games, maybe they'll vote him in this year. We'll have to see. I think the coaches will give Devin Booker more credit this year than they have in prior years.
Well, I think the Olympic gold's going to help too, Dave. With seeing him over in Japan, being a part of that roster, they saw him assert himself on defense. Obviously, the deep playoff run all the way to the finals. Sundar Stunk makes the point. Book's stats might have been down this year. I wouldn't say he was worse, but I would say a lot of the criticism of Booker was he's an empty stats guy. He's putting up great numbers on a team that's not winning. So his numbers may have regressed somewhat. I mean, good Lord, I want him to make threes like he does in the 3-point shooting contest in games, but his numbers didn't regress that much, and his team went all the way to the finals. So we know he's a legitimate, top player.
And when we say his numbers regressed, I mean, in assists they did for sure, because he was definitely deferring to Chris Paul all year as the ball handler, and he got really hyper focused on being scorer. So I do hope that he balances that back out this next year and becomes more of a passer when he gets the ball in the offense instead of being focused entirely on scoring. He had a lower usage rate this past year because of Chris Paul, but you know what, guys? He made the finals. And so none of this matters. He still scored 26 a game. He still upped that in the playoffs. And he's still getting 4 assists a game and 4 rebounds a game. Do we want him at 27, 6 and 6 this next year, or 28, 7 and 7? Sure. Of course. I just want to see them in the finals. And I think he's going to make not only All-Star, but he's also going to make All-NBA. That's what I think for this next year. Okay, we gotta run along, not run along, but run forward in the show. We have a fourth quarter topic to go to, yep, there you go. Get yourself ready. We got the would you rather. Now this is going to be a rapid fire, Jake. We're not gonna delve deep into each of these topics. I do want the ballers and the chatters, everybody in the chat, to participate in this, and we'll share your votes and your takes. Definitely make some comments on there. So we got a game of Would You Rather, and I don't want you to overthink this. I just want you to react. Now, the first one I'm going to set up. All right, the first one I'm going to set up in that. In terms of if you think there is an overpay to be made between Ayton and Bridges, okay? If you think Ayton might be overpaid at a max, or you think Bridges might be overpaid at almost max, if you had to choose, which would you rather overpay, Ayton or Bridges? Go.
Ooh, I feel like it's the Family Feud. Ayton. Definitely.
You'd rather overpay Ayton. Tell me why.
His defense, he is top 5 defensive centers right now in the league. His offensive game is only going to grow. My dream idea would be Chris Paul just in the offseason just throws him passes and he catches the ball and learns how to catch the ball. 1 hand, 2 hands, whatever he's got to do. But if he takes in more entry passes and the team learns from that, he should take the next step offensively. And I'm not saying Joel Embiid type level offensively, but top 5 center in the league easily.
Yeah, I'm going with that too. I would, if you had to overpay one of the guys, even though we've had a lot of pundits, especially in the Suns community, for some reason, it's so funny. I look at national articles, and they're like Dan Devine with the Ringer just this past week said that Ayton should get the max as an extension. I've seen several others say that Ayton should. Bobby Marks, I've had talks with him with ESPN. He says Ayton should get the max. Yet regional Suns folks, Suns Twitter, Suns media are like, maybe he shouldn't because centers in general do not get max extensions off their rookie deals in the past 5 or 6 years. Well, you know what? Ayton is a big man who dominated in the playoffs. If you can forget the fact that but allow for the fact that he couldn't defend the greatest player of one of the greatest players of his generation, Giannis, in a one-on-one situation for 6 consecutive games. If you give him that little bit of okay, Ayton dominated in the playoffs. He showed that he can carry a young team, help carry a young team doing everything but all the scoring that everyone else wants to do anyway. I think Ayton is that guy that you need and is worth the max. And by the way, the max for a rookie extension is $31 million this year, 25% of the cap. I think they're probably negotiating over the fact of, well, will that percentage jump if he makes all NBA? I would put it in if I'm the Suns, because the likelihood, if he makes all NBA, give him a little bit more. It can go up to 30%. If he doesn't make all NBA, he feels good because the Suns would give him the credit. Definitely, I think Ayton is worth the overpay. Now, would I also overpay Bridges? Look, this is a game of would you rather, so I had to pick one. I would pick Ayton. Would I also overpay Bridges? I love Mikal Bridges. What's the overpaid limit? I really think he'll sign for in the 20 to 25 million range. Would you give Bridges 25 million a year for 4 years?
Ooh, yeah, no, I think he's young enough. I think there's enough progress to be made there. I'm definitely valuing a DA max more than a Bridges overpay. But yeah, no, I think Bridges deserves to get paid, and we've seen him take steps every year. I'm excited to see where he goes next.
All right. Okay. The next, would you rather? Would you rather see the Suns win their opening 2 games of the year that are on ESPN, or see them win on Christmas? If would you rather see a Christmas win or a pair of opening week wins? Ballers, you got to weigh in as well.
Do you remember who they're playing first?
Let's see. In the first 2 games, I believe it's I could be wrong, but I believe it's the Nuggets in game 1, and I think it's the Clippers in game 2. And then, or maybe it's the Lakers in game 2. It's the Lakers, I think. And then in Christmas Day, it's the Warriors. But I guess I was asking more about, would you rather kick off the season against, because they are playoff teams. Okay. The opening week is against 2 of the playoff teams they played in the playoffs this past year. And Christmas is Christmas. And it's against the Warriors, and Clay's supposed to be back on that day. So would you rather know that your team won on Christmas, or would you rather know that your team beat their playoff opponents again in opening week?
Oh, I take the 2 wins out of the gate against the Nuggets and Lakers, who are actually whoever they are. Don't get me wrong. I like the Christmas game, but there's just enough other stuff going on around a holiday.
True.
Where it's kind of like, oh, I caught the 3rd quarter. It was a great game. I'll watch the game, but there's opening night. I'm locked in. Christmas Day, there's a few other things going on.
Yeah, Blaze made a good point. Obviously, 2 wins is better than 1. Sure. I get that. I'm just saying that the opening week, though, means a little bit less later in the year, or Denver would have swept us in the playoffs.
I don't know, Dave. We get off to a rocky start. Some player tweets they don't want to be here anymore, and then your season has changed. Just
okay,
saying,
yeah, true. What if the Suns lose by 93 points in their first 3 games? Yeah, this season might be derailed. I'll give you that.
I don't want to be here anymore.
Yeah. Let's see. Okay. So a lot of people are saying opening week, and I think I definitely agree with that. I think it would be. I'd like to see them both, but if I had a would you rather, it'd be opening week for sure. All right, the next would you rather. Would you rather this next season, Devin Booker averaging 30+ points per game, or DeAndre Ayton averaging 20+ points per game?
Averaging? DA.
Averaging for the season.
DA. I want to see something that the Suns fans are not used to seeing. Which actually really goes back to your last comment about regional Suns reporters saying, well, centers don't usually get paid. We wonder why the Suns historically have not had very overly big stats for centers. And we're always like, who's the best center? Was it, and you have to really kind of go back sometimes. I'd rather see DA take that next step. We know Booker can go off at any point. We've seen him go off. So I don't need to see his average hit over 30. But if DA's hitting over 20, then I bet you everyone's shooting at a much higher efficiency outside, and that's really good for the team.
That's a really good way to put it, Jake, is if Booker's getting 30 plus, it almost seems desperate.
Right.
Like the Suns are in trouble, right?
Exactly.
Even though he could score 30 plus in a season. And it doesn't necessarily mean a team is in trouble. Heck, Damian Lillard, Steph Curry, they both carry their teams to Damian Lillard once to the conference finals, and then Steph Curry 5 times in a row to the league finals, averaging 30 plus. Great. But if Devin Booker is scoring 30 plus this next year, I think there's something wrong with the team. I worry that that's the case. If DeAndre Ayton is scoring 20 plus, then that means there's a lot right with the team, I feel like. But who knows? That could also spell doom. I mean, if you're really giving Ayton the ball that many times to score 20 plus and he's not averaging 80% field goal rate, that could also be spelling doom because he's not really that skilled on offense. But I do think it's a better indicator of successful season if Ayton's over 20. Between that, would you rather option?
Well, and this would be a great question for Cody Hunt. I don't know if he's in the chat today or he'll hear this later on, but I wonder how many times has the scoring champion taken the team to the finals? Not saying that necessarily Booker would be if he's averaging over 30, but as you point out, Lillard, he hits over 30 a lot, but his teams don't go very far in the playoffs because at some point you need another player on your team to hit a shot, and they've gotten real cold. An inside-outside game of a dominant inside player and a dominant outside player, that's the 1-2 combo that every team's always looking for each year.
Sunder's Dunks points out, as long as Booker's making his pull-up threes, then we're all good. Okay, we're not doing very good with the rapid fire here. We keep talking, but I want to give the ballers a chance to weigh in as well, and they've done a lot in weighing in this show, and I really appreciate that. Okay, the next one. Who gets more minutes per game this coming year? Cam Johnson or Jay Crowder? Last year, Cam Johnson averaged 24 minutes a game, and Jay Crowder averaged a little more than that. Do you see that happening again, or do you see that flipping?
Cam's going to lead Jay in minutes, I think. He's got the room to grow. We've seen Jay plays great, and he's a little streaky, but Cam's got the guy. He can take his ceilings a little bit higher.
Okay, so you're going with Cam. Well, I would rather see Cam Johnson get more minutes too, even though Jay Crowder is one heck of a professional for this team. I'd rather see Cam Johnson do that as well. Okay, so ballers, do you have any would you rathers? If you have any would you rathers, I'll give you a couple of minutes, couple seconds here to put in your own would you rathers for Jake and I to debate. But so far, we've got that we'd rather overpay Ayton if you had to overpay one of Ayton or Bridges. We'd rather they win opening week 2 games on ESPN over winning on Christmas. We'd rather Ayton score 20. We're an Ayton pod, aren't we? I guess I didn't even realize all these would you rathers were kind of Ayton oriented. And then we'd rather Cam Johnson get more minutes than Jay Crowder if there was a would you rather. If they could average the exact same number of minutes, would we be underutilizing Cam Johnson?
I can see that, yeah.
So that's why we'd rather Cam Johnson get more minutes, because if he's not playing more than Jay, it seems like an underutilized situation.
Well, and I think Jay is, he's a tough defender. He will drain the offensive player of their energy a little bit. That he plays so tight and so aggressive that he can kind of wear them down in the first and third quarters. Cam's then going to be the fluid guy running around the court in the fourth quarter, helping finish games with obviously Booker, Paul, Ayton, and Bridges. But Jay's going to wear players down, and I think that's a great strategy if that's the way they go with it.
All right, we did get a would you rather from the ballers. Jake, would you rather beat the $1? I like that. That's actually a little slip there because it is Giannis, or the Nets in the finals this coming year?
Ooh, I'd go the Nets. I want vengeance on the Bucks, but if they don't even make it, then vengeance is served cold then. But beating the Nets, the darlings of NBA media right now, to take Durant down, and Harden, and to disrupt the super team mentality that we've seen too much in the association. Oh, that would be the exciting thing, to show that a slow-built team beats a super team.
All right, so you'd rather beat the Nets in the finals. Look, I am a guy who would rather beat the very best team at their very best.
Yeah.
And the Suns could not beat the Bucks at their best this past year. So I'd like to know that they could, for sure. But I don't want to do that by avoiding the Nets. If the Nets are the best team, then I want the Suns to play the Nets. I just do. I don't want to avoid. I'm just a guy who really wants to see my team beat the very best on the other side. So while I absolutely loved the playoff run, and I wouldn't trade it for anything, I loved the finals better than most of the other series because the Bucks were healthy. And really, every one of those last 4 games could have gone any way. Even though the Suns did lose 4 straight to lose the finals, every one of those, except for one, I think, game 3 was not close, but the Suns were letting that one away. But games 4, 5, and 6 were all right there. I'd like to see that happen again. But man, it's interesting. You know what? A big topic for next week is going to be, I think the big topic for next week on the show is going to be, have the Eastern Conference and Western Conference flipped in terms of who's got the better overall teams, because most pundits are picking the Bucks and the Nets as the 2 best teams in the league next year, regardless of who's in the West. And I don't know that I would vote against that.
Yeah, no, I could totally see that being a legitimate, topic. I mean, but I still see the Lakers and the Suns being the 2 teams in the West right now, and the Nets, if one of their big 3 goes down, I think we've seen a change in the East right away. But Dave, let me ask you a real quick would you rather,
Sure.
because this is something that I'm very worried about. I think I know what all the ballers are going to say, but who would you rather see playing meaningful minutes for the Suns in the playoffs? Frank Kaminsky, Abdel Nader, or Elfrid Payton?
Oh, man.
The glass is broken. Choose your item. Choose your weapon.
Break glass in case of emergency. Oh, between Frank, Abdel, and Elfrid Payton. By the way, all 3 of them played in the playoffs this past year. Elfrid for the Knicks.
So they got the experience. We should be very comfortable about this decision.
We do have the experience. You know what? I can't help but be a Frank stan. I just can't. I mean, I do like Pyramid Poppy. I love that nickname, Pyramid Poppy for Abdel Nader. I do feel like I'm curious how Chandler Hutchison and Abdel Nader will vie for minutes toward the end of the rotation. I am surprised. Abdel Nader is Monty's latest. Why are you playing him again? And why did he play 10 games in a row again? The dude was out for 3 months with a knee. He just shows up in the Western Conference Finals. Let's play 10 minutes and see what happens. But I'll tell you why he was out there. It's not because he has dirt on Monty Williams' family or anything like that. He was out there because the Suns could not get a free throw and could not get any points in the paint. And he was just going nuts over this, he being Monty Williams. Abdel Nader is very aggressive. He will drive to the paint. Will he finish? Not always. Will he draw the foul? Not always, but at least he tries.
Right.
And none of the Suns were trying. After Devin Booker, now this is not, I don't think, being talked about enough. Devin Booker broke his nose in 3 places in the second game of the Western Conference Finals. Thank you, Patrick Beverley. So after that, he hardly ever drove. to the basket. Devin Booker is the guy who gets the free throws, but he wasn't going for free throws, especially in the Western Conference Finals and again in the finals because of the trees that were down there. But man, I tell you what, Abdel Nader probably got those minutes because he draws contact and he's aggressive. Who do I want to see? I'm a Frank stan. I thought Frank's game 6 almost saved the Suns' bacon. Game 6 in the finals.
Yeah.
And he played so well that he was one of the reasons that it was tied at the end of the third quarter. The Suns just couldn't hold on, and Giannis just became Giannis there. But man, that is a tough question. How about you? What do you think? Who of those three, who do you want to see in big minutes in the playoffs?
Well, first let me ask you something, Dave. Have you ever been hit in the nose? Like really, not break anything, but hit in the nose?
No, I've gotten a broken nose.
Okay.
Yeah. Fight. Yep.
My brother has had his nose broken a couple times. I've certainly been hit in the nose. It hurts so bad. And once you get hit,
it hurts to breathe.
Oh, exactly. So all of a sudden you go from kind of sticking your face
days later, weeks later, it hurts.
Talking trash from a distance. Yeah. And so I totally get why Nader's kind of, I call him the poor man's Booker because he tries to do very Booker-like offensive style plays, driving in. He drives in probably second most, I'd say, after Booker. I don't have the stats on that. You're the stat me guy. But just the eye test, he's a lot more aggressive in driving to the basket than most of the Suns players. So I totally see that. I still wouldn't want to see him being played as many meaningful minutes as Frank the Tank, who, in addition to having a very strong little finals game there, if you follow him on social media, he feels like if you ever dreamed of, you're obviously a fan and we're all fans, but if you ever dreamed of also being on the Suns team last year, then you envisioned yourself as Frank, because if you watch Frank on Instagram or Twitter, he is the fan right now that actually gets to play. So I want nothing but the best for Frank the Tank.
Absolutely.
And if Peyton's playing, I'm really sad.
Oh, God. Look, man, Elfrid Payton is a much better ball handler and playmaker than E'Twaun Moore. So in the cases where E'Twaun Moore was playing this past year, either because Campaign or Chris Paul were injured or just sitting or whatever it was, I'd rather see Elfrid Payton running the show and they've got enough shooters around Payton where he doesn't have to take too many shots. So he is a stopgap guy, and he is definitely not a guy you want to rely on. I don't want to rely on any of these dudes, but if I needed a big game from one dude, I would give Frank the nod on that one.
Yeah, absolutely.
For one game 6 of the finals, Frank was really good. All right. Let's see. So that is it for the show. We don't have time for your overtime. Well, I don't know. I mean, it's hour 17. Do we even really care? Doesn't even really matter that it's, the dead of the off season and we need to go off and do other things. No, let's keep talking Suns. You got 5 more minutes for me, Jake?
I can hit a little overtime shot. Absolutely.
All right. We're going to move into overtime right now. Our overtime. Now we got NFL starting up in a few, they already started Thursday night, and NFL is starting up tomorrow with all the rest of their week 1 games. You've got NBA starting up in a few weeks. So Jake, you submitted our overtime topic. And now I would like you to present the overtime topic to the ballers to give us their feedback.
All right, guys. We've got football season here, pumpkin spice lattes, NBA season's right around the corner. So I started thinking, what is my ultimate go-to snacks and or meals for when I watch a game? Could be a football game, could be a basketball game. I actually think there's a bit of a difference. Usually the basketball games are more often held in the evening. Your football games will be in the afternoon oftentimes. But this is my hot take, Dave. My curveball, hot wings have their place. Nachos have their place, especially when you kick it up with little jalapenos on there. I like to heat it up. But if I'm going to throw the curveball in, pickled herring, crackers,
all right,
beer.
I don't even know what the heck that is.
What? Oh, Dave,
I don't
you're
even know
older
what
than
that
I
is,
am.
dude.
How do you not know what pickled herring
is? What country are you from? What pickled herring?
The U.S. of A, baby.
First of all, what period are you from? And then second, what country was that?
It's brain food.
I mean, I feel like you got to be wearing the fake hair and the big puffy clothes and be sitting in a throne room in the 1700s to eat pickled herring. What pickled herring?
I'm telling you, have it with an ice cold beer. My cousin years ago when I was a kid said there's nothing better. And somehow as an adult, I was like, this seems so stupid. But then I tried it and I'm like, this is actually kind of good. And so I don't know. We've got some fans I know, especially even international fans. I want to hear what they've got because I bet you pickled herring, it might not be their number one, but I bet you it's on the list. But what do you got for
I
me,
got to
Dave?
tell you, it's not on anyone's list but yours. There's no list that
Dave,
has pickled herring on it
It's
for
brain
game
food.
day.
You're getting older. I want you to be healthy. Pickled herring this weekend for you. But what do you got for me? It can't just be the classic nachos and wings, right? I mean, you go to the games. What is your go-to meal?
Oh God. Okay. Well, I'm in some ways I'm still a child. When I go to a game, my favorite go-to meal is like chicken fingers and fries.
Oh. I'm the king in the throne room.
My favorite,
herring,
my absolute favorite is you like pickled herring. I like buffaloed wings. How about that? I do think that buffalo wings are the best game day food you could possibly have, followed very closely by anything else you can dip in a fryer. I mean, I'll take, fried Snickers at the carnival. I would eat those. But as far as an actual game day food, I would definitely go with the buffaloed wings in as a game day snack. How about you guys? So
yeah. Oh, I do see one. In the chat. Totally giving the shout out to the pickled herring. So I'm very excited about that. I think it was Manny. Actually, pickled herring is good. Yes, thank you, sir. But
boo! I'm not even going to share that crap.
Jim Rose,
Scandinavia.
No, but buffalo wings. So let me ask you though: do you like are we going like hot wings of buffalo, or are we like mild? Like dude, you're going to like buffalo.
You're
wild
talking
wings
about a pasty
medium.
white guy. We're talking medium.
Yeah, but
that I tell myself
Arizona,
is hot.
I expect a little smoky.
No, I like a little bit of heat, but if it gets too hot, then you can't taste the wing anymore. So I'll go medium to hot. But
okay.
Yeah, no, I just that's my go-to. Pizza, obviously. I'm a real basic dude. Pickled herring jinxed the finals. You didn't eat pickled herring during the finals, did you?
The finals, I swear. I didn't eat it during the finals.
Dude, you know what? Here's a not talked about enough fact. The Suns are undefeated. The 2021 Suns were undefeated in Phoenix Suns Arena when the arena was named Phoenix Suns Arena in the finals. They were up 2-0. That Friday, they announced Footprint Center would be the new name of the arena when they went to Milwaukee and changed the signage around the arena. They went 0-2 in the finals in Footprint Center.
I'm not a conspiracy theorist guy, Dave, but the Foot Clan, anyone that knows Ninja Turtles knows that the Foot Clan always failed every episode. They never won. So the Foot Clan, maybe not the best idea.
There we go. New Hope Manny, churros for b-ball games. Sure, churros are great, but they're just kind of like a sweet snack. I was thinking we were talking about real meals. Where
we fall into the Chipotle? Is Chipotle fallen from the heavens? It was one of those top
because there's a chance you'll find a live cockroach in the middle of your food. I mean, why would we now follow Chipotle anymore?
But you know what? If it's in the herring jar, at least it'd be pickled. So you
got a little cockroach, pickled cockroach. Back to the Manscaped as our pickled cockroaches. If you don't want pickled cockroaches, then you got to reduce the swamp down there. Use your Manscaped 4.0 clippers. Yes. Should I play the commercial again, or should we leave it for next week? What do you think?
Go for it. This train is off the tracks.
I am not going to suggest that. Hey, everybody, if you're watching, let me see. Yeah, there we go. DraftKings, promo code TBPN. This podcast is part of the Basketball Podcast Network. If you go on DraftKings, it's just like all the other promos you're seeing. $1. You bet $1, you'll get $200 in free bets this weekend. It's opening weekend for football. Go for it. Go on DraftKings, download the app, bet $1. All you got to do is bet $1, and they'll give you $200. So go for it. All right. Thank you so much for joining me, Coach. And I'm sorry, Jim Rose. We'll get it worked out. We'll figure out that audio and video and all that, and we'll get you on very soon. Thank you for joining us back in the chat. We really missed out. Jim Rose is a treat, that is for sure. But we'll have him on again soon. We'll be back next week. Now, you guys got to go and listen to my midweek podcasts. I've got actually a couple queued up for next week. So you guys really, really need to subscribe to the pod. I'm going to paste the link in the chat as we do the outro. As we close out the show, click on that link, man, and we'll see you midweek for our shows. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining us today. And I'm not even going to do the old goodbye. So Jake puts on the sunglasses. What do you got to say for us to say goodbye?
Get yourself some pickled herring this weekend. Opening weekend for the NFL. Let's do it. And Blaze, I love the Monty Python reference.
All right, guys. Adios, everybody.